Yeah, I mean, I think it's just there's frustration. I think we noticed they were trying to pick on Caitlin a little bit on defensive end. She was getting called for some fouls that, fouls aren't fun. She got in some foul trouble. Our team got into some foul trouble. And
That reaction right there is not just frustration. That is a direct glimpse into the mounting tension threatening to pull the Indiana Fever apart from the inside. When guard Lexi Hull has to step in front of a microphone to downplay a visible sideline screaming match between superstar Caitlin Clark and head coach Stephanie White, you know the organization is scrambling. The body language on that bench during Saturday night's tough loss to Portland spoke volumes, showing a clear disconnect that a quick Monday morning media tour cannot easily hide.
And ultimately, this wasn't something that carried on. This is in the moment, something that happened, and not something that is talked about now in our locker room, talked about even later on in the game. That's just something that happened. And unfortunately, Caitlin's got a camera on her 24/7. And so you see every little thing, but this happens almost every day in women's basketball. So not something that we're worried about at all.
The official line is that what happens in the huddle stays in the huddle. But the camera tracking Clark 24/7 tells a completely different story. This is not an isolated burst of competitive fire. It is a compounding issue, and the front office knows the optics are disastrous. By deploying Hull, Clark's closest friend on the roster and the co-star of her contract renewal announcement video, the Fever are using a classic tactical shield. They are banking on her personal relationship to validate a narrative that everything is perfectly fine under Coach White. But that is just the surface. What happens next is what really matters, because the actual game film reveals a structural failure in how this team is being managed on the floor.
Regardless, there's going to be a microscope. There was a microscope the moment she declared for the draft. There's a microscope on her in college too. But I think for us, it's continuing to just show up and do our job every single day. And we're not hiding anything. So
Claiming you have nothing to hide is usually the first sign that an organization is actively managing a crisis. Let's look at the actual basketball dynamic that caused this explosion against Portland. Clark was left completely isolated on an island defensively, routinely targeted by opponents while picking up quick, highly questionable fouls. Instead of fighting for her superstar, challenging the whistles, or working the officials to protect her franchise player, Coach White stood on the sideline with her arms crossed, completely passive. That lack of institutional support is exactly what triggers this level of public resentment from a competitive leader. Now here is the part everyone's been missing. This is not a new developmental friction, but a repeating pattern of counterproductive coaching that has been building over multiple consecutive weeks.
we have, a great relationship. I think all of us, we know this is a long season. It's hard to win in the WNBA, but ultimately it's early. And I think
a great relationship does not typically produce a cycle where a coach actively stifles momentum. Whenever Clark breaks out an extraordinary individual play, hits back-to-back deep three-pointers, or single-handedly creates an 8-point lead, the response from the sideline has been restriction rather than reinforcement. The coaching staff repeatedly penalizes the very high-risk, high-reward style that makes Clark elite, dragging down the team's offensive rhythm and letting frustrations fester from the game jersey right into the next morning's practice facility. And this is where it gets personal. The operational style of the Indiana front office extends far beyond simple tactical disagreements on the hardwood.
And the next thing you know, this comes out. The Noblesville Boom, an Indiana G League team, signs Connor McCaffrey. I'm telling you, the Indiana Fever, they're the mob. They're the mob. Run like a couple real gangsters.
To truly understand the internal politics of the Indiana Fever, you have to look at how quickly the surrounding narrative gets managed the moment a negative rumor gains traction. Just as speculation peaked regarding internal discontent and a perceived lack of organizational commitment from those inside Clark's immediate circle, a highly convenient roster move occurred. The Noblesville Ants, the Indiana Pacers G League affiliate, abruptly signed Connor McCaffrey to a contract. The timing of this signing, landing precisely when the franchise needed to stabilize its relationship with its marquee attraction, demonstrates just how aggressively this front office operates behind closed doors to maintain control. Because here is what this means for the future. The structural cracks in Indiana cannot be papered over by strategic public relations campaigns or convenient local signings. When you look at the macro environment of the WNBA in 2026, the stakes have never been higher for a franchise holding a generational talent. National television ratings, arena attendance figures, and multi-million-dollar corporate sponsorships are tied directly to the stability and success of Caitlin Clark. Every single coaching decision, public statement, and sideline interaction is scrutinized by millions of viewers under an intense media microscope. When a head coach fails to structurally protect her lead guard on the floor, and subsequently fails to manage her offensive freedom, it creates a volatile environment that threatens the franchise's long-term aspirations. This latest public relation push, using Lexi Hull as a buffer, shows an organization hyper-aware of its vulnerability, prioritizing short-term damage control over fixing the root systemic issues between the head coach and the star player. The lingering tension between White's restrictive system and Clark's natural fast-paced, high-volume style will inevitably reach another breaking point if the coaching staff refuses to adapt. Shoving the mess under the bed and declaring the locker room clean only works until the next tough loss exposes the exact same defensive abandonment and offensive restriction. If you were Caitlin Clark, would you continue to trust a coaching staff that leaves you stranded on defense and restricts your game on offense, only to send your best friend out to clean up the public relations mess? Because the current trajectory suggests this partnership is unsustainable. Tell me who you think is in the right here. Is Coach White justified in trying to rein in the play style, or is the Fever front office completely failing their superstar? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, hit that like button, and subscribe to the channel for more raw WNBA breakdown. Until next time, take it easy.